Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Capes and Lunatics. It's me, Phil. I have Tyler with me tonight, and because we got a very special guest, if you've read a comic book any time in the last like however many decades, you probably know this guest, Mr. Mark Waid. Hello, sir.
Hello, sir.
Sounds like, I mean, it feels like, and I know, again, there's a lot of people at DC and there's a lot of books going on, but almost feels like you're writing half the line right now.
It really does, and I'm just making up for lost time. How about that?
I mean, if we love what you do, it's never work, right?
Right.
All right, but before we get into all the DC stuff, I did want to quickly shout you out somewhere else. I think was it May issue that you had a story in Fantastic Four Fanfare #1.
Right. Yeah.
Which I really liked. Yeah.
Thank you. Oh, I had a blast with that. I mean, I love writing comedy, and I could write Johnny and Ben all day long.
I know that was just the greatest premise. You know, a judge orders Ben, I throw a temper tantrum for like a week, and Johnny's just like, "Oh yeah, my dream come true."
Yeah, Ben, you're under anger management by order of the court, and if you violate it, you're going to jail. And Johnny's just like, "Oh man, this is going to be the best week."
Just the best visual at the end, and when Johnny's just like carrying in a barrel, like a little barrel of like nacho cheese.
I gotta read this.
Oh yeah. It's like it's an anthology, so there's a couple writers, but yeah, I mean, they knew what they're doing. Like first story, first issue, Mark Waid, go.
Very cool. Yeah, that was an honor.
But yeah, I'm sure you're excited for that movie too, huh?
I am. I really am. I get to go to the premiere a week from Monday. And very much looking forward to it.
And we're in such a renaissance with like all these movies and then just all the merch around, like the Superman movie, the Fantastic Four movie.
No kidding. I mean, I'm used to seeing Superman merch, but FF merch is not something you see every day.
Giant Galactus head buckets.
I know. Man, if I had more room in my apartment, because that's the determining factor at this point. It's not, I can have, I'm a grown up, but I my own money, I can have what I want, but can I fit it in this place? And that rules me out of a lot of popcorn buckets, sadly.
Oh yeah.
I understand that.
It's so expensive, but they look so good. All right. I'm gonna ask.
I just wanted to tell Mr. Waid something. So before we started recording, I told him like my family, we're all part of a local production of It's a Bird, It's a Plane, Superman. But I thought you'd appreciate. I have a 5-year-old who's part of the show. His sister's been on the show. He watched me in my last play and loved it. And I was trying to think of something for him to do in the play because he's enthusiastic.
Sure.
Well, as a visual, though this is not actually in the play, as a visual, we have dressed him up as Crypto the Superdog.
Oh, so that's great.
So he is in costume as a dog, and he's running around with the newsies going bark. And I made him a little crypto collar. So
that's great.
I thought you'd appreciate that.
I will say, and again, this is nothing spoilery at all, but I will say that putting out a Superman movie that you can take a 5-year-old to it's been way too long since we've done that, and that's one of the reasons I like what I saw.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I'm so excited. I mean, especially after I heard you liked it. I saw like a lot of my favorite storytellers. JMD Mateus said he loved it. I'm just like, oh, now I'm really,
I saw Dan Jurgens just give a thumbs up. I was like,
exactly.
I was like,
everybody's got little quibbles that we all do as storytellers because that's what we do. But that's, it doesn't obviate the fact that we all had a really good time. We all enjoyed the premiere.
And speaking of Superman, I mean, you're no stranger to Superman, but
I
mean, again, you're doing World's Finest, but you're doing Action Comics now. The second issue of the arc came out today, doing a flashback Superboy arc, basically.
Not really even an arc. I mean, that's just the book from now on until somebody decides differently. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's not just a short Superboy arc. It's like, no, this is Superboy's main book until such time as we decide to shuffle things around again.
And that's exciting. That's exciting.
Yeah.
I love when you did the Phantoms.
Thank you.
In action. I found that very enjoyable. I found that very refreshing at the same time.
Thank you. Yeah.
So when this was brought up, I was like, oh, okay. I'm intrigued. Like anytime that your name is attached to a Superman story, like I just got done reading the book with Ed Gross where you guys did an in-depth more conversation.
Oh yeah.
About
Actually,
Birthright.
that was a lot of fun. Ed's a good guy, and
Yeah.
that was a series of interviews. It's really neat. It's a little chapbook that's about 100 pages, and it's interviews, in-depth interview with me 20 something years ago when Birthright had just come out, and then a little follow-up interview with me looking at it through the lens of today. And it's I think it's a little fun read.
It was great. Ed, I got to meet him in person. I had previously interviewed him a couple years ago. I won't take up all the time, but what's funny is I met him. He was like, "Oh, I'm doing a auction of my my definitive history of Superman. We're doing a raffle for it." So I got a ticket, and my wife, my son, and my daughter all got tickets. And then they brought my kids up on stage to pull tickets.
Cool.
And my daughter's like, "Daddy, I want you to get this for Father's Day."
Bad.
And I'm like, "Baby, it's okay." She goes up there and she pulls my ticket.
Oh, that's amazing.
And she just looks at me, and even the other people look at me, and I'm like, I was like, "We couldn't have cheated."
Exactly.
I'm
No funny
so,
business here. Yeah.
I'm like, nope. So it was amazing.
Oh, that's great. And it's a terrific book. I mean, The Definitive History of Superman by Ed. It is this gigantic, like Taschen-sized hardcover tome that is as close to a definitive history of Superman as I've ever read. So I heartily endorse it.
It was amazing.
Cool.
But yeah, back to your Superboy. Like,
but enough about Ed. Let's get back to me.
So there's no end date then on the Superboy story. So
no. I've got plans at least through 1100, and then we'll see where we go. Yeah.
So, but yeah, I assume it's going to be 1100 is going to be something big with probably you and other people.
That's the plan. We're still sketching it out, but I just keep planning forward, and nobody's told me stop yet. So
it's a book that I want to read with my son to kind of like reintroduce the Superman character. And like kind of find an endpoint for him that he might connect with a little bit more. That's with Superman being technically Superboy. So
yeah, that's for those just joining us. It's Action Comics is now the tales of Superman when he was a teenager in Smallville and took up the Superboy identity. And what's exciting to me about that, I mean, Superboy hasn't really been a part of continuity for like 40 years, off and on. But I love the opportunity to show Superman becoming Superman. I don't want to read adult Superman stories where he's still learning how to be Superman. I didn't come here for that. I came here for Superman. But if you're going to give me a chance to tell stories of Clark trying to figure it out and in a hurry, because the premise of this whole series is he just turned 15. He's told by his parents repeatedly, we've made you a little suit, but 16, we're going to wait until you're 16 because we have a lot of stuff to figure out. And we got to anticipate a lot of people's questions, including questions we haven't even thought of yet. So we have to be bulletproof by the time you take on the identity and show up in public a year from now. And then as circumstances have it, there's a terrorist attack and he has to step in anyway. And now he's out. And now they're trying to figure it all out on the fly. They haven't thought of the glasses yet. They haven't thought of, the super costume. They haven't thought of any of that stuff yet, and they've got to make it up on the fly in a hurry. And so that's the fun of it, is watching Superboy learn everything, how his powers work. He doesn't have all his powers yet. He has no idea how fast he can fly. He's got all those things are his to learn, and it's a great opportunity to have it all be a learning experience for him.
Yeah, it is funny in the second issue that came out today. Yeah, he's still, when he's flying around, he's like, yeah, they're letting him go out, but it's like he's still getting lost. So he's like reading road maps and following highways as he's flying and stuff.
Yeah, if you could fly, you get that high up, you need to follow interstates too, because what are you going to do? I don't know Oklahoma City from the look of it from a mile up. So yeah, and even if you have telescopic vision, you still have to know which direction to look.
Oh yeah. And you put it out. I think it's the perfect scenario because it's not adult Superman figuring out how to do this. but it's not, oh, hey, he decided to become Superboy day one. He knows how to do everything, and he's perfect in everything he does. No.
Yeah, whenever we've written Superboy stories in the past, whenever we've published and I love Superboy stories, but they're always about a short Superman, basically.
Yeah. You know, Mr. Waid, like one story that I would love to see your interpretation of is kind of the idea, since you're writing this Superboy story, is the day that he decides I'm no longer Superboy, that now I am Superman. Because I've made jokes before because of like the Superboy TV series where, you know, he's in college and it's like he's still going by Superboy.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, did you just wake up one morning like, you know what, today is the day I am now Superman?
I know.
But with this story and listening to you talk about it, there is you can see the
progression
story.
There. Yeah.
And that there will be that moment where he's like steps up to that moniker. And I look forward to that.
Look, if people keep reading it long enough, we'll get there. But there's a lot of ground to cover in between, and there's a lot of fun stuff that you've never thought about before with Superboy. And there's also the opportunity to reintroduce certain elements of the mythos that have been forgotten but are still fun, and update them like we do with World's Finest. I mean, there's nothing antiquated about World's Finest. It feels very contemporary, but it's still using a lot of the old toys from the toy box. You just got to shine them up and make them feel modern. That's all. So same with Superboy.
All right, I have a question. I won't spoil anything for anyone because, again, 1088 came out today. That figure that shows up at the end there in the Kents, is that going to be someone we know?
Yes.
Okay.
It's going to be somebody, well, kind of depends on.
Knowing you, it's going to be like it's a character who showed up once in 1958.
Well, it is. I mean, it is a bit of a deep cut, but it's still. I'm actually going to say it's a character that you've seen just in the last few weeks, in all likelihood.
Okay. Well, oh God.
And there are more hints next issue, and you will know at the beginning of next issue.
Yes. And then, like with this Superboy origin, and then even the work you're doing on World's Finest. I mean, just like a week or two, or however many weeks ago, we got issue 40 of World's Finest, still going strong. So, and we're totally for this. I know me and my other co-host Lilith, we're always talking about this. Are you kind of taking the Silver Age and like shining it up with a nice modern take on it? Because it almost seems like it. Yeah, I guess
a little. I mean, I always sort of buck at that characterization because it is so easy to be categorized as like a nostalgia act, and that is the last thing I want. I don't think I deserve that yet. Maybe someday.
I think you said when World's Finest started, it's timeless.
That's the thing. It's that I'm not going to use elements that are so dated that just because I love them. I mean, I love all that stuff, but I also love, I love a lot of stuff from the 20th century that no longer has a relevance in the 21st century. And so why would I bring that aboard? It's taking the stuff that still, if you put a new spin on it and make it interesting, and give it emotion. That's a big part of it too, is like, a lot of that Silver Age stuff it was all gimmicky ideas and they were pretty cool, but there was no emotion attached to it. It didn't sort of elicit any sort of feelings. So if you're going to do something with, say, Bizarro World, which is coming up in World's Finest, I really want to get to the core of first off, the horror element, the body horror element of it. So you're seeing the Bizarros as, like more like, 28 Days Later Bizarros than you've seen in a while. And then get into the physics of what is a cube world? How does that function? Like it couldn't, astrologically, there's no, astronomically rather, there's really no way. I've done my research, and remember, I'm a physics minor. I've done my homework on this. You can't have a cube world. Unless you're doing it some funky way, because that's not how gravity works. And even if you did have a cube world, the physics would be different. Imagine like stepping around the edge of the world, or imagine standing on the tip of a corner of the cube world, and you can see 6,000 miles flat in any direction from different sides. It's getting to play with that sort of stuff and give all that stuff like a new sheen, a new a new layer of not complexity, but of maybe of slightly deeper thought. I think that's my lane.
So that sounds like it would be a fun concept to like play with and stuff, which a lot of comics is. But also, I mean, the age we're in, you're also going to get, it's also the age of, oh God, how many people are going to nitpick this and be like, oh no, you got the physics wrong, or that couldn't happen.
But that's always been the case. It's just they didn't have the internet until now.
Yeah,
so,
now they have a voice. Yeah,
right.
But yeah, no, I mean, like I said, we've been enjoying the timeless feel, and
Thanks.
I do want to bring up something else because we did get a question about this.
Yeah.
Because I almost forgot, kid, because I've been like weeks behind on my comic reading, and then I picked this up off the stack. I was like, oh yeah, Mark's doing this too. The new history of the DC universe.
Yeah.
Man, I'm excited to read it. I have not got to read this one yet.
The first issue basically starts at the beginning of the universe at the Big Bang Theory and ends with a certain baby being shot off from the doomed planet Krypton. So
right. So we cover all of that in 30 pages. But have you actually? So Tyler, you haven't. Phil, have you seen the first issue?
Yes, I have read.
And so I think the prize jewel of the whole thing that nobody's talking about is you get the 30 pages of illustrated text up front. That is the high points, but in the back, we did like 14 pages of text. Here is the actual timeline of the DC universe. Here's what counts. Here's what happened. It doesn't mean that if it's not on the timeline, it didn't happen, because there's no way to cover 8,000 comic books in that, 10,000 comic books. But actually more than that. I mean, DC's published.
I was going to say 8,000. That's just Batman's.
DC's, exactly. DC's published, I want to say, somewhere in the neighborhood of 65,000 comics to date. So clearly we can't cover every character in every moment, but we do want to explain some of the big mysteries, like how is Cyborg a member of the Justice League and of the Teen Titans, or did Supergirl die or did she not die? What's the deal there? So that's a big part of what we're doing in New History too, is just setting the record straight on all that stuff.
Yeah, that was one of the questions we got from a listener, is like, if you don't specifically mention like a certain story or something, does that mean it still happened? Like, if you don't outright address it, we can just assume it still happened.
I think well, I guess I think so, but
for the most part, maybe.
For the most part, but there's also the ones where I have to pick, like I have to sit down with editorial and pick which version of this character's timeline or this character's origin that we're going with. And so that one might be mentioned in it. Some of that stuff, I think we try to be fairly clear by sort of shining a big spotlight on the stuff that is revelatory, right? That this is the stuff that happens. I mean, by the letter of the law, if Supergirl didn't die, then there's issues of Superman that happened after she died before Crisis that couldn't have happened, but we don't mention them. So did they happen or not? See, it's a very, I mean, it's a tough line to take. All I can say is that as a general rule, it happened. Where, I try to be very judicious about this and try to do as little harm as possible and try to make all of the stories count as much as I possibly can, unless they are just completely diametrically opposed to each other and I have to make a choice.
And I did like, and again, it makes complete sense. It's like someone's sitting down and writing out the entire history of the DC universe. And who is that man? Barry Allen.
He's seen it all. He's been to the beginning of time and the end of time. He knows more about the history of the DC universe than anybody. So that made perfect sense to me that he'd be the guy.
Do you think, could we ever get a story where it's like, because he died in the middle of Crisis on Infinite Earths and then didn't come back till like 2008 or 2009, does Barry remember subtle differences where he says like, wait a minute, this wasn't like this before I died, or, right into the Speed Force?
We sort of allude to that a little bit in the first issue, and we're going to do a little more allusion to it in the last issue, that without getting too meta about it, that Barry even says in the first issue, it's, history in the DC universe can sometimes be a little fungible. Sometimes it can be a little unstable. It's another reason why we want to put it down. So we kind of walk right up to it and say, yeah, there's going to be stuff that happens 6 months from now. I'm sure there's going to be something that somebody does in some comic 6 months from now that accidentally contradicts something that we're going to do. That's just the way a narrative across 40 comics by 20 different writers works. So we'll do our best. So
yeah, I mean, realistically, the DC universe has been around for what, like 90 years or close to it.
Yeah. So we do our best. That's all I can tell you. It's just and none of these decisions are made capriciously just by me. I don't have that kind of power. I'm not the publisher or the editor of DC Comics. I'm the historian, but that means that I still sit down with Marquise Draper and Andrew Marino and Brittany Holzer, my editors, and we go over, every point, and there are some really friendly, heated exchanges about certain things, and we are, not everybody wins every battle. So, but by and large, everything is examined. Everything is put under a microscope. Let's put it that way. So, if you see something that might look a little squirrely to you personally, at least have the comfort of knowing that it's not just randomly in there. We gave it some thought.
Like if you could go 3 or 4 different ways, you had to choose a way to go.
Yeah. I mean, do you acknowledge do you acknowledge the Superman project from Doomsday Clock? Do you not? That's, there's different origins if you do that. There's where's Man-Bat fall and all that. That's the kind of stuff we had to sit down and go case by case and go, okay, this is, and I will also say that not necessarily as a rule, but I did tend to favor, if I had to make a choice, I would favor stories that are more recent than older cut, because that's the stuff that's going to ring more bells in the heads of current readers and get me more meaningful to them than a story from 1945. So, a good example is no, we don't go back to there was an Earth 1 and an Earth 2 and that stuff. There was anyway. All this to say, just read the book. That's what I'm going to say. Read the book. You brought it up. Look at me.
Yes. No, I brought it up because I liked it, and we actually got a question. You had a question about it, but yeah, I love the Barry Allen angle.
Thank you,
Tyler.
And that's our show. Okay, what else you got?
I do know.
That's it.
No, I do. I did at least have one more thing to bring up. Yes, my my other co-host Kristen and I, we've been loving the Batman and Robin year 1 since it started. Yes, I love the General. Hope we see more of him.
It's great.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's Chris Samnee's dream project. It looks like, Superman is my dream project. That's his dream project. And so he's bringing all that passion. He's such a good storyteller. And every issue is more collaborative than most of the work I do. This is much like we did on Black Widow, where we have a long phone call about where we probably should land with this issue, what we should do. I write up a plot that's maybe 5 or 6 pages long, as opposed to twice that length it would be for a normal script, and then he goes off and draws the hell out of it, and I come back and I have temp dialogue in the document I give him, but then I go back and I add stuff and I tweak and I play off his facial expressions, and a lot of the times I just end up cutting dialogue because he's such a good storyteller. I don't need it.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna buy this anyway, but I remember when it was announced, and I saw it was you and Chris, and I just remember your Captain America run. Well, that Captain America run of yours, and I was just like, oh yeah, this is a definite must buy.
Thanks.
But yeah, I think we did talk to you right before it came out, and you said, you asked Chris, we were like, hey, who do you want to draw? Two-Face? All right, Two-Face is in there. You want to draw Claypool?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you tell me. It's just, make it your own personal shopping list. I can work with anybody.
But I know Kristen.
I was going to throw out this.
Just the interaction.
Poor Tyler doesn't get a chance to talk at all, because I'm taken up with the microphone so much. Tyler doesn't get a chance to say anything.
I like listening. But I was going to say, I got my wife this year to read. She's been reading different Superman stories, and I got her to read Birthright, and it was a highlight of her reading. I just wanted to say that because I know you get compliments on all the time, but like, she started it one night, and then we were laying in bed, and I started reading it, and I reread the whole thing, and I was just like, it's a story that every time I read it, I get more out of it.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I appreciate that. And I have a question for you. I'd like your opinion on something.
Sure.
Mr. Waid. I work for CPS.
Okay.
I have a kid on my caseload who is 12 years old. And I told him, I said, if he likes to read like little comic book stuff. I said, if I give you some comic books, would you read them? And he said yes. And I want to give him a Superman story that will inspire him as a kid and kind of his placement and what he's going through, being like abandoned and on his own and stuff. And I was thinking, I kind of put that out to my friends. What do you think would be a great Superman story to give him?
I mean, I don't want to say Birthright because it feels weird for me to say it out loud. Although that's
it's one that's on there. Like it's one that
good. It's very much about the loneliness of the of growing up, with and having to be apart. So I think that would reach him. I mean, there's just so much good Superman material out there.
I mean, I think the new Action Comics right now. I mean, I'm not blowing smoke up your butt, but I'm just saying. I mean, it's a young Superboy, and it's a great, I think, jumping on point for people, especially kids.
All right, I like Phil's answer. Okay,
yeah, that's good one, Phil. Good, blowing that smoke. But no, Birthright was one that's up there, and I'm gathering like just recommendations because I got I have some stuff I have in trade, and I have some stuff that's in loose issues, and I was just going to give him my loose issues, but I might have to hit the comic book store too to get him some things. So I really just want to inspire him.
But also, sadly, we it's not like it was back in the day. We have to be careful about what we hand out. I used to just willfully throw out DC Comics on Halloween to kids, and then I get to a point where I'm like, all right, I got to look at this stuff and make sure it's appropriate. So,
yeah.
I mean, that's the big shame too, is like they're not as available to, just a kid to run across. And I mean, again, I'm old. I used to have newsstands and spinner racks in the stores and stuff. And
it's interesting.
Right. I mean, I want to write for not specifically for that audience, but I want to write all my material to be friendly to that younger audience because I'm not saying every comic should be for everybody. I'm just saying that's my own personal approach is I want it to be an all ages book, whatever it is I'm working on, because otherwise you're just writing to a bunch of people my age. Well, we're all going to die, and then I'll have no job. So I want young people reading these comics.
I mean, if anything should be all ages, it should be, like the main Superman.
Yeah, I agree. All right, I'm gonna go buy an extra copy of Action Comics. I'm going to see him in 2 weeks. I'm going to see him in 2 weeks. I'll go. Cool. I'll give him it.
1088 on stands now. But no, I was just gonna say, like, I know me and Kristen have been on Batman and Robin Year One. Just the interplay between Bruce and Dick, because I mean, you did promise it, and you did deliver that we get as much Bruce and Dick interaction as we get Batman and Robin.
Yeah, and it's fun to write a Dick and Bruce who don't really like each other that much at this stage. I mean, they don't hate each other.
Yeah,
but they're oil and water at this stage. I mean, when you think about it, the only thing they have in common is the murder of their parents, and Bruce thought that would be enough to bond them. And as Alfred points out, you were two wildly different people who reacted differently to this tragedy, and it is not fair of you to assume that this kid is going to be just like you because he went through the same thing. And so there is a lot of headbutting, but obviously it's all going to turn out well in the end.
So is Dick Grayson becoming one of your favorite characters? Because I know you said you did love writing him as the third lead of World's Finest.
Yeah, he's still my favorite thing about World's Finest. I'm writing this Bizarro story right now, and writing his reactions to being on the Bizarro world, which he's never been to, is just so much fun. It's just so great to be able to write comedy, straight up comedy in these books. And Superman's not capable of it. Batman is not the guy who's going to deliver the comedy, but Robin can be. And in Batman and Robin Year One, same thing. He can bring the levity. He can bring the joy.
And speaking of that, great job on the crossover between World's Finest and
thanks.
Unlimited. Again, you're also writing that too.
Thanks. That was a ball.
There was a lot of time travel in there, and again, the master, he keeps everything straight. And
I think I keep it pretty straight. There's a lot of characters running in and out. I basically, what I do like about that story is that we call the book Justice League Unlimited, So why don't we throw open the doors to the time stream as well and make it truly unlimited? Which is why you've in issue 8 and 9, you've got, all kind. You got Jonah Hex trotting around with Batman Beyond. It's just we're going all out with it.
You get Dick Grayson Robin coming face to face with Nightwing Dick Grayson.
Yeah,
which was awesome.
right. And asking, wait, how many Robins have there been?
That was a great. Like, wait, how many?
Thank you.
I was like,
wait, how many Robins have there been? Yeah,
I was kind of waiting for that answer because I was like, which ones they're going to acknowledge, which ones they're not. Like,
yeah.
How many have there been?
So if the opportunity ever presented itself, would you be interested in writing the monthly Nightwing book?
That's a good question. I probably would. I love that character, and I've always said I wanted to write that character, but following an act like Tom Taylor's and Bruno Redondo's is and what's happening in the book now equally as good. I just that's tough to imagine following on. If they give it to somebody who sucks for like 6 months, then that's perfect. That's what you want. That's you don't want to you don't want to follow Grant Morrison. You want to follow the guy who follows Grant Morrison.
The guy's been working at DC for 2 days. You want to follow that guy?
Yeah.
I mean, you've done it before. Again, it's way back in the 90s, but you picked up Captain America after Mark Grunwald, who had it for 10 years.
True. That's true. You're right. I've been lucky that way, but it's like I said, if you go back and look at my career carefully, there's a few times and I've stood back and let somebody else screw it up for 6 months or so first, and then let me step in.
So that means, Phil, if you and I ever get to write Nightwing, that means that Mark has prepared the way so that he can.
Oh yeah, I'll do it. Yeah,
there you go.
I'll be that guy that starts for 6 months, whatever.
I'll try my best.
He's such a great character, and I had fun with him in Absolute Power too, because he's the ones. I mean, even more than Superman, just a hair more, but even more than Superman, he's the one superhero that everyone in the DC universe listens to.
Yeah, all the heroes.
Because they figure if you got brought up by Batman and survived that
and thrived
with that, then you are absolutely worth listening to when it comes to strategy.
That is the best thing. If you survive Batman, you must be pretty tough.
Yeah.
All right, I want that now. I want you on whenever the opportunity presents itself.
So many hours in the day, Phil, but
I know.
Do what I can.
Come on, Mark. You're only writing 4 or 5 books for DC at the moment.
That's all at the moment. Yeah.
And then just random stuff like that story in Fantastic Four, Fanfare. Yeah. All right. All right. Can you stay, or I know you said you had limited time, so.
Let's give it another 10 minutes or so. Is that okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't want to say too much because I want to. He's limited on time.
No, please, and also, don't feel like it's got to be like a steel curtain that falls at 6:45 my time. It's got to, we can ease off, we can taper out. But yeah, I do kind of need to sort of wrap up a little before the top of the hour.
Okay. And all right, so I'm trying to. So back to Superman. You said you saw the movie, you enjoyed the movie. Yeah.
Enjoyed the movie. I really did. It was joyous. It was and again, none of this is a spoiler, but what I loved is that it was unique in this sense. And in most superhero movies, if not all of them, the superhero and maybe the villain, they're the fantastical elements that are kind of step into our world, right? Mm. But in this movie, we're asked to step into Superman's world, and that makes all the difference. And so you take flying dogs with a completely straight face. You take Arctic fortresses and, super robots and stuff. You get a complete straight face because you accept it. You've gone in that world and you've accepted. And only the most cynical people could look at this and go, well, this is silly. Well, it kind of is a little silly, but guess what? That's the game. Mm-hmm. So enjoy it.
I mean, I saw like a spoiler-free review that said they embrace like the comic book-ness of it, and I'm just like,
yes.
Why hasn't Hollywood figured that out? There's like the closer you stay to the source material, the better your comic book.
I think it's that pendulum. Like I just, I looked at things like, Batman Begins was a great film. Okay, mm-hmm. It changed things, but then things have to change again.
Yeah,
things
can only stay dark for so long. Yeah,
it took us out of the camp where we had left it and went serious, And now we're getting back to more of the comic book. But I mean, even the comics have changed. And it's just, it's just kind of that pendulum. It's either you're ahead of the curve, right on time, or behind.
Oh yes, it's all cyclical. If I were writing the same stuff I was writing, if I were writing the same stuff today, let me rephrase. If 6 years ago, 7 years ago, if I was writing the same kind of stuff that I'm writing today, I'd be out of a job. I don't think people wouldn't be as interested because it's not thematically of the moment. It wouldn't have been dark and cynical enough, but I don't write that. I don't like writing cynicism. So that's a good example. The same with the movie. I think that, you will see the pendulum swing further, especially with James Gunn at the helm, towards not goofy or silly or ridiculous, but just sincere and
that's a good way
and earnest stuff. Yeah.
And I think it was Kevin Smith. I saw a quote. Unfortunately, it's probably true. That he was like, Superman's probably going to do good because people always look for that stuff to believe in when times, in the real world aren't so great. So they're looking for something to believe in. So,
yeah. And if that's the case, then Superman should make $1 billion.
Yeah. So one thing I wanted to say here, this is not blowing smoke, I swear to God, because I didn't even know.
I'll take it though. Please be my guest.
So in our production, and part of our set design was we did like street signs.
Oh, nice.
And so in my street signs, we have like street signs like, to Hobbs Bay or Centennial Park. And then I have like, my daughter made one for Central City because she's a Flash fan.
Cool.
And like Star City. Well, then I was like, I want to hide in Easter eggs for Superman fans. So then I have Siegel Street, I have Jurgens Avenue, and then I have Waid Way.
Good
up
man.
There. And I was like, and my pianist, she knows because she's actually met you before, and we exchanged conversations about getting to meet you in the past. She looks at my set design, she's like, "That's from Mark Waid, isn't it?"
That's very cool.
And I was like, "Yes, it is."
I appreciate that. How well does that play hold up? I mean, well, first off, you'd have to make some adjustments. You have to make like the Flying Ling Brothers. You can't.
So
really do that.
That is we kind of took more inspiration from the 75 TV series version, made them more of a family, and just they're more mafia like type.
Right.
Not any of the dialogue, nothing is given with the ethnicity.
Right. For those who don't know, he's talking about the restaging the 1966 Broadway show It's a Bird, It's a Plane, It's Superman, which ran for about 6 months in 1966 and died not because it was bad, but because the theater owners expected it to be an adult audience because that's what Broadway is. And instead it was just a bunch of kids who came. And so the adults weren't coming because the children were coming to see Superman. So, that you're restaging it is great. But yes, they're in that original play, including the finale with the bad guys being all these Chinese acrobats. Some of that stuff doesn't age well, but I'm glad to hear you're able to bend your way around it some.
It's slight adjustments. It's being honest with your cast, like, hey, this was written in the 60s, this is what it was, but we're going to present it this way and hope for the best.
Yeah. How do you deliver the exposition about his origins and stuff like they did, in the Broadway film, I think, or the Broadway show, they did a little bit of film, and the TV adaptation, they did like a slightly animated thing. How did you cover it?
So the way I wanted to do it is I wanted to honor as much Superman history as possible. So I actually found the Broadway film.
Cool.
It's on
that's
YouTube.
Great. And use that.
We used that, and then we just filmed a little scenes with our Superman and our Perry White, and I just kind of put them in there. And
that's great.
And because I wanted to give, little Easter eggs for Superman fans and being like, hey, this is us honoring the Broadway version because this is the film. So I thought about shooting my own, for it, but then I found that I was like, I think this will be fun because it gives credence to the original.
There's a lot. I mean, it's campy, but in a good way, and it's fun in a good way. So it's certainly family friendly, and I salute you for this. Is anybody videotaping this or anything?
Oh, I will be. Yeah, I will.
Well, if you have it, if you have a chance, you feel like sending me a copy at some point, feel free. Videotaping, by the way, listen to me. Recording it is what I should be saying. Are you getting it on your kinescope? Yeah. So do that. Yeah, exactly. Do that for, send me a copy if you're inclined.
Oh, I will. Of course. Cool. No problem. We opened the last week of July, and we're going 6 shows the last week of July and the first week of August.
Very cool. We'll break a leg, everybody.
Thank you.
All right, Tyler, do you have any more questions, or should we let this man go?
We should let this man go. He's a hardworking guy.
Mark,
Bill, anything left from you? I guess not.
Thank you for your time as always. Do you want to promote anything besides the books we already talked about? Or, I mean, if you want to promote them again or give us any teases. I mean, I know you said Bizarro World's coming up in World's Finest.
Right. And then after that, we're going to do another Supergirl Robin issue. The two characters who really just hate each other, but in a sitcom-y way.
Yes.
And then beyond that, in Justice League Unlimited, we've got all the time shenanigans going on, and then that leads into one of DC's big events for the fall. Action Comics, like I said, is just the ongoing adventures of Superboy, History of the DC Universe, 3 more to go, 1 more to write. So I will also say this: the closer we get to the present day, the less likely you are to see your individual story called out, because oh my god.
I bet.
Oh yeah, I'm sure we get to like the 90s and we're like, oh, there's too much.
Yeah, I mean, we only have 120 pages of art, so it's first issues, like you said, from beginning of time to Krypton exploding. Second issue is from Superboy to Crisis, and then third issue is post-Crisis to not even Flashpoint. I don't think we get to Flashpoint.
Like Infinite
close
Crisis
to there.
or something.
I think, yeah, Infinite Crisis. Basically, Crisis to Infinite Crisis, but that means issue 4 is everything from Infinite Crisis to now.
That's like just like a and this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened.
So right. So the way I look at it is, I choose to believe, okay, if you're a DC fan, you know what's happened in the last 5 or 6 years because you've been reading the comics. So I'm going to lean more into the stuff that you probably don't know.
I mean, I'm sure it'd be a vast undertaking, but I'd love to see that animated. Just the history of the DC.
Oh, that'd be great.
Animated. Oh,
the whole thing has been. I mean, that's, and I'll sign off, with this. But I mean, I told you about the text section in the back, and the first one was 14 printed pages. The first draft for just that section was 43 pages long.
Wow.
And that was me listing everything I could think of that happened in the DC universe during that time. And so there was just a lot of, get the chainsaw out, because, page counts are page counts.
Yeah.
But I'm in my lane. Like I said, I really am in my lane here. So
would you have rather had like 6 to 12 to have more room?
Oh God, yes.
Or
oh God, yes. I would love to. And 6 would have been really good. I could have done 8 easy. But I understand DC wanting to keep it to 4. I guess it's, they don't want to have to price it out of existence. They don't want you to have to feel like you got to put down $40 or $50 to learn the history of the DC universe. We're trying to make it fairly accessible and inexpensive. By the way, one last thing about that book we haven't talked about: those Scott Koblish covers with a million characters on them. Oh my God.
The art is very inviting.
I didn't even see this one in the store, but I saw this cover online. I was like, oh my God, this is great. That Wonder Woman.
Wow. There's the Wonder Woman one is good, but the variants that are just jam-packed with hundreds of characters over the course of 4 issues. He drew it as all one long illustration over, and they're back and front of the comic. So it's 8 comics worth of illustration. And it is something like 1,440 characters in that long illustration. So if your favorite DC character isn't there, I don't know what to tell you, because
he's the new George Perez. Okay.
He wanted to out George, and God bless him. Scott's a huge fan of this stuff too, and Scott did all his own research on this too. And I was taken aback, because even I'm looking at, the Golden Age stuff. I'm looking at characters that I don't even recognize off the top of my head. So good on you, Scott.
Wow, the stump the Quizmaster down there, man. That's impressive.
So while I know nothing official, I know that I have threatened to burn the place down unless they do a poster eventually of that cover.
Please.
So,
Please.
Poster, yeah.
I can't promise anything, but if DC is a flaming wreck a smoldering building in 6 months, you'll know they decided not to do a poster. So
that's what we'll say. We'll be like, yep, we know what.
I mean, you got to think about it. If you're a DC fan, everyone's favorite character is going to be on that poster somewhere. So
somewhere, yeah. Anyway, all right, guys, I do a split. Thanks so much for this.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Good luck with the play, and I will talk to you guys some other time.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
You bet. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, he's always the master of comics for like.
Well, I was looking up
30 years. I think it's probably closer to 40.
Well, I was looking at the last time I talked to him is right as he was getting back to DC, right before he started World's Finest.
Yeah,
all the stuff that he has done since then.
Oh yeah, because we talked. I think we talked to when was it World's Finest #1? It was either right before or right when World's Finest came out. And I think the last time was right before Batman and Robin Year One, and then just again, like I said, he loves this stuff. He knows everything.
Yeah.
He's like a walk. They said like back in it was like the 80s or 90s. Like there was two guys, Mark Grunwald at Marvel, who's no longer with us, and Mark Waid. They're like those two were like encyclopedias of comic book knowledge, like of all time.
Impressive. Well, Phil, thanks for having me on here. It was awesome.
No problem. Why don't you promote Krypton Report? Because
check out the Krypton Report on all your major podcasting networks, on YouTube as well.
Where Tyler talks about Superman, a character you may not have ever heard of.
Yeah, this year's been it's funny. It's like this year's been awesome for comic, but it's also been like, okay, what can we talk about to celebrate the summer of Superman or the year of Superman that we haven't talked about? So it's been kind of fun finding little new spins on things and digging into some books and stuff.
I feel like they've been teasing us with this movie because I swear, did they start putting out commercials or trailers in like December?
Yeah, it started in December. I
was like, oh my God. I'm like, because I remember when they first came out, I'm like, this is like 6-7 months away. Why are you doing this to me?
Do the one trailer in December, and then they didn't do a second trailer till like May. And then they started like TV spot, another, and then the tickets on sale trailer.
Yeah, we did get something like during the Super Bowl and stuff, I think so.
But yeah,
of course.
Here we go. This is the last time Phil and I will chat on a podcast before at least one of us sees the movie.
Yeah, well, probably both of us. I mean, if anything, again, you're welcome to when we do the movie reviews next episode, kids. So
just tune in.
If Tyler's busy scheduled them permits, yes, he will be here.
Yeah.
All right. So yes, but you can send your thoughts on this Mark Waid interview, the Superman movie. We can read your thoughts during the movie review, CapesandLunatics@gmail.com, or call the voicemail 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. You can find us on pretty much all social media. I've even kind of like started to fire up the TikTok I created and never used for Capes and Lunatics. Reddit, there's a I don't know, what is that, a chat or a group or whatever that is. You can find us on Reddit now too. So I've been starting to post episodes there. So comment there. Help support us with merch at TeePublic in spring. Again, Lil's favorite, just ran the money off to the Cash App link, and of course the Patreon. Again, you subscribe there. Not only can you request topics for us to talk about, but you get exclusive, uncensored stuff. And we've been mixing it up. We had Lilith at a panel at a con. We had Justin drunken unboxing video, and then the last one for June, Justin and I talked about the Friday the 13th movie franchise, because June had the only Friday the 13th this year. So
I know it's one of James's favorite days.
Mr. James. Well, I heard Friday the 13th gets superstitious around James Cole. So
it does. See, the thing you don't realize is that Jason movies, Jason's always running because James is right there behind him.
Oh, nice. And yes, if you don't know who Mr. James Cole is, check out Krypton Report.
Yeah, for real. He's like a legend. Don't even believe he's real.
He spots Superman when he's lifting.
Mm-hmm. He was John Cena's underwear double in Peacemaker.
Oh my! Oh,
let's see that.
I know we'll never get him, but I'd love to talk to James Gunn. I mean, Superman movie, Peacemaker season 2 is coming out.
I'm gonna be like, hey James, here's my quick questions. 1, Scooby-Doo 3. 2, bring back some good animation
Oh,
for
there you go.
Scooby-Doo and DC.
Oh, there you go. Bring it back around. Hey, James Gunn, can you animate the new history of the DC universe for us? Thanks.
There you go. Boom. Filled. It's been filled.
That's right. All right. Thank you for joining us. Well, again, this episode has been me and Tyler have been your capes, and Tyler's done. Again, he's a busy family man. So yes, for another week, me and Mr. Tyler Patrick of the Krypton Report have been your capes. Oh, he's back. Ampersand Lunatics.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
I thought you just dropped off because I said you're a busy family man and director.
I am. I just my page reloaded. I was like, what happened?
I thought maybe we were just like.
I was like, bye, Phil. Dinner's
I
ready.
only scheduled 50 minutes for this episode. No, come out. And yes, Tyler may join us next time. Again, we're gonna next episode Superman movie review. So if you see it, send us your thoughts. We can read them because we'll be recording probably Sunday afternoon. So get them in before Sunday afternoon.